It is not easy to come from somewhere as developed as the States and move to Ghana, let alone the village. It will take you, I would say, about 10 years to really be able to get a good understanding of the culture. But at the 5-year mark, it's not working for a lot of us that have been here. I believe that when ES went into that marriage, I believe that she knew what she was walking into. Ghana is not easy. No African country that you move to is going to be easy because people are not showing you everything. People are not being honest and say, I failed. Because none of us, let me just tell you this, right? None of us in life know what we're doing. I would say that Ghana is faced with, among the people, we're faced with financial crisis here. And it's like that on purpose because they want you to remain in the system. It's not, being in the West, being in the UK is not about bettering yourself. It's about conforming. Hey guys, welcome back. All right, so in today's video, I want us to talk about ES. ES has a channel called DIY House and Farm. If you don't know about ES basically moved from the States and came to Ghana. I would say she's probably been here almost as long as me. I'm not sure the exact number of years, but she's definitely been on YouTube for a while. And so I want to talk about ES today because she recently released a video saying she's leaving. Now, if you know anything about ES's channel, she does a range of different types of content, right? So she started very much, she's had a few channel names, right? And she first started filming and recording her building journey, where she was building Bonsu Village and she wanted to create this, it was an amazing idea actually. She wanted to create this village of like homes where people could come from the States or wherever and just have a place to de-stress and just, you know, feel at one with nature and kind of like find themselves. And so that's what Bonsu Village was supposed to be. That didn't go according to plan. If you want to know about that, go check out her channel. That didn't really go according to plan. She'd put a lot of work into that. And then she moved on to a new chapter where she started building this tiny home with her new partner, right? Her husband. And she's just released a video to say that she's leaving. Now, some of the content on ES's channel was about her building, and then she kind of started doing some skits and things like that. So when this video popped up and said, I'm leaving, I was like, is this a skit? You know, like, you're not sure. So I wasn't sure. So I watched the video, and I was really surprised for her to say that, you know, she's had some issues in her relationship and therefore she's leaving. Now, I'm not going to talk about the relationship side so much because, you know, having gone down that journey myself, where when you have a public, well, mine wasn't really public like that. You just knew that I was married, right? And so when you have a relationship that is on camera that everybody sees, you know, it's easy for people to pass judgments and say, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that. Like, at the end of the day, none of us know the reason behind what the breakdown of the relationship was. We only know what ES has said, and ES basically hasn't gone into that, and she's not going to go into that. She's made it clear that she's not going to say what it is.
When I was saying just a moment ago that I really hope you guys would just take your time with some of these comments because you were not anywhere around anything as I've been going through the motions of living here. You do not know anything, so please respect that. Put respect on the simple fact that you were not anywhere here. For those who wish to throw ideas that are just so off-putting and misguided and based off of something that does not exist in my reality. What exists is this is a new phase in my life.
It sounds from the video that she's not harboring any type of bitterness or anything like that. She just realizes that that journey has come to an end. And so she's starting this new chapter.
So I love you all so much for all them sweet words and all of that encouragement. Thank you so much. And thank you for having a level of respect to not assume things and to not jump the gun about anything. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm wishing him well. You know, it's not like I do not love him. It's just that I got awakened to some things that are very painful for me. But am I going to sit over here and try to bash him? And it's not worth it. I'm not interested. I'm interested in moving forward, and that is it.
Now, this video is not necessarily just about, oh, because she's African American and she's leaving. I want to highlight ES because I feel like ES has done an amazing job since she's been here. It is not easy to come from somewhere as developed as the States and move to Ghana, let alone the village. I know for me, I wouldn't be able to stick it out in the village. Just knowing my character and how I am, my personality, I cannot stick it out in the village. So I really want to give ES her flowers and say, like, you've done an amazing job having made that transition. I'm sure it has not been easy. I'm sure there's loads of things that we haven't seen on camera that have happened to you. So yeah, I just want to say that. And I want to really use ES's journey as a success story, because although ES is deciding to leave, and she hasn't specifically said where she's leaving to, she hasn't said she's going back to the States, she hasn't said that she's remaining in Ghana, she just said that she's leaving. Okay, now the reason that I would say it is a success story is because she stuck it out in Ghana for so long. And the time that ES was in Ghana, it was a time where things were very slow here. You know, I've said it so many times, like there was no Uber, no Bolt. I don't even know if they have that out there. They probably just have regular taxis in the northern region. I don't know. But it's a completely different way of life. And for most of us that were raised in the West, coming to a developing country is not easy. A lot of us struggle because we're faced with issues that we're not used to, and the adjustment period can be really tough. And also having come with little to no support and just a vision can be hard, because even though you can believe in the vision that you're coming for with all your strength, with every part of every inch of you, right? You can believe in your vision. There are times where you're going to feel lonely. There are times where it's going to get hard, and, you know, not everybody's going to be able to understand the frustrations that you're feeling. And so to do that by yourself is going to be very, very hard. It's going to be hard to do that even in Accra. Many people come here, you know, they have this vision of, you know, what they want it to look like when they move here, the life that they want to create. And sometimes it's not as simple as that. Sometimes you're going to have to pivot a number of times, and ES has pivoted a number of times. The villages that the village that she started with, Bonsu Village, I mean, she had, like, let's not get it twisted. She had invested. She had created something. It's not like, you know, it was still in construction phase. Like, she had almost finished that whole project, and she had to walk away for one reason or another, right? She had to walk away from that and start again. But none of that deterred her. So ES came with a grit that she was going to make this work. She knew that the continent was for her, and she knew that no matter what, she was going to go through these challenges. And that's very much what she's done. And so she has proved that, you know, although I did the video where I said, you know, people are coming to Ghana, they're not making it, they're struggling, they're having to leave and go back to the States or go back to the West, wherever, right? There are people that do make it. We may not hear of them all the time, but there are people that are grinding. There are people that have been here for years. There are people that have been here for longer than I've even been here. There are people that have seen some things, and they're able to keep pushing and keep going and going and going. And that is not an easy journey. And, you know, I would love to hear more about these stories, because I feel like we need to share more when it comes to some of these things, because we hear about the good stories, you know. We do like to hear about some of these, you know, these journeys where people have struggled, but then they've made it. But you want them to have made it quickly. But we're not hearing about the stories where it's taken people 10, 15 years to kind of establish themselves here. And I said it in a previous video, to move to Ghana, right, will take you, I would say, about 10 years to really be able to get a good understanding of the culture and what it's like to be here. And if you don't understand that and you move without having that in mind, it's going to be easy for you to say, this is not working. But at the 5-year mark, it's not working for a lot of us that have been here, because we have had the shock of our lives when we've been here and, like, gone through some things, and it feels like no one else has gone through this. Like, why is it me? It's not only you. And we've all been through it. Maybe some of us have not been vocal about what has happened, but, you know, a lot of us have had silent struggles being here. And for those of us that, you know, do content creation, where you can see you know, we've made our lives like video diaries. You can see sometimes what we've been through. You know, as I looked at the comment section on her video, a lot of people have said to her that, you know, they can see the pain in her eyes and all of that, which, yeah, I think I would say that I also see the pain in her eyes. And, you know, she's not saying a lot. She's not saying what her struggles have been. And it's kind of hard to tell because her content has been skits. And so some people are not really convinced that is this another skit? But ES did say in her video that this is not a skit, like she's being honest, and I fully believe that she is being honest. When you read the comment section there as well, they have addressed the fact that it can't have been easy being married to this Ghanaian man. And I'm not saying that this is ES's case. She may have had a wonderful marriage. I don't know. I wasn't in it, so I'm not going to pass judgment on that. But I'm going to speak in general and say, and even from reading some of the comments where people have also said, I was married to this Ghanaian man, or I was married to this African man, and the culture difference was just too much. I've touched on a video, I've done a video about, saying don't marry a Ghanaian man, unless you know what you're going to walk into. And that is not to say that's a blanket statement where every Ghanaian man or every African man is going to be a particular type of way. That's not to say that. But what it is to say is that you have to understand that there are going to be cultural differences. There are going to be things where you're going to have to adjust your expectations to be able to be in this marriage. And I believe that when ES went into that marriage, I believe that she knew what she was walking into. She's lived in the North and she knows the culture. She knows the traditions of there. She knows what it's like to be here. So you know that if you've been here, if you've been in that situation for a while, you know the type of man that you're going to get, right? I know if I'm going to get a man that was born and bred in Accra, I kind of have an idea. I've been here a while. I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to walk into. So I'm sure she had that. But even still, even having all that knowledge, it's still an individual thing where you're having to join yourself to this person and you're having to find ways where you can work together and build a relationship. And I believe that she has really tried. They built this amazing tiny house together. They've done amazing things together. I believe that reading the comment section, a lot of people were saying that they liked the relationship that they had. They felt like they were building each other up, which I believe is true. I feel like they were bouncing off each other. They were using each other's strengths and weaknesses in the right way. And they were becoming this inspirational couple that, she's come from the States and she's moved to Ghana. She's living in the village and she's got this sense of freedom, this space. If you know anything about ES, she's very spiritual. And so she's definitely reconnecting. But even in all of that, things can still go wrong. And I would say that it's very, it's a big thing to be able to say, you know what, I realize that this chapter has come to an end and I need to start something new. And that's very difficult to do, especially on camera, because of sometimes the judgment that we can face from other people. So coming out and saying that is a bold move, right? Because everybody wants to know the tea, what's happened, and I'm sure that ES will probably share some of those things, not about her relationship, but a bit more about her journey and what that has been like, the real of what it's been like. Because let's be honest, not a lot of people say what the real is when they move here. A lot of people I understand people want to keep things private, right? But I feel like if you're someone that's been on camera and you have shared a part of your life, obviously people are invested in how you got to where you got to and now what's going to happen going forward. So, sometimes we have to share a bit more than we would like to at the time, but over time, as things get easier for us, then we open up a bit more. So I believe that's going to happen in ES's case. But I just want to use her situation as a case point and say that Ghana is not easy. No African country that you move to is going to be easy. Every single one is going to have challenges. And it may not even be a country issue. And I think that's something that we have to understand here. Sometimes when people move, it's not always because of the country. I came to Ghana and it didn't work out in Ghana for me because of the roads, the infrastructure, the this and that. It's not always that. Sometimes it's just life. And so when you feel that journey has come to an end, it's okay to leave. And that's what I feel like ES's journey is about. It's not, I don't believe that she has a gripe with the country. It's not that. And so I want to differentiate that those two things are different. And she's not even saying that she's leaving the continent. We don't know where she's going to. but it's more about her personal journey and where she feels that she's got to in life. And I feel like when you get to a certain age, you're more aware of what you need for yourself and what you're no longer going to tolerate, the things that you no longer want. You kind of get to a place where I don't want to say don't care about other people's opinions, but you care less. And it's more about you. You realize the time that you have on this earth, and you realize the impact, you understand the impact that you have to make. And your journey is your journey alone. So whether your journey is going to be in Ghana, in Africa, or it's going to be somewhere else, you have to experience, and no one else can tell you what your journey is or tell you what your journey should be.
What I'm trying to do is just really move forward so that I can start to decompress and figure out my life. Because right now I've been hit with some really hardcore emotions that are very real. But I want to deal with it, you know, in a very adult way. I've grown. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned what I like and what I don't like. I've learned when, let's just put it like this. I knew something wasn't right about my life, and I inquired about it. And I got the results that I was looking for. Well, I wasn't looking for the results, but I got the information that I needed. And let's just say that I've outstayed my welcome on every level.
And so I feel like ES has had that realization where she's like, okay, this time is coming to its end and this is what I need to do. And that's big to be able to say some of those things, you know. Sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, it's the country's fault. I'm sure it was the country's fault. Maybe she's just not saying that it's the country's fault. She hasn't said that. Like, let's not make assumptions about the things that are not being said, because it's not fair to do that. And her journey is very much one of success. She's created loads of businesses. If I was to say, if there's a person that I could name pivot, it's got to be ES. She has pivoted a number of times if you've been following her content. She has done this and done this and done this and done this in order to be able to pursue her dream. And let's be real, many of us cannot pivot in the way that she's pivoted, because it is not easy to say, okay, I'm going to try this instead. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And like, you keep hitting a wall, but you know that there's something at the other end, and you just have to keep going. And a lot of us, we quit too soon. We give up our paths too soon because we feel like it's not going the way that we want it to go. And, you have to try. You could try something 100 times, and it's on that 100th time that you finally get the breakthrough. And once you get your breakthrough, you realize the journey that you've been on. Now you can look back and say, okay, well, this is what's brought me through. This is, these experiences have contributed to building me up to being this person. And let me say something, being here on the continent, being in Ghana, will teach you some stuff about yourself that you didn't even know. Like I've always said, right? For me, being in Ghana has taught me how entrepreneurial I am, because I didn't see in the West. There's certain things that you're going to realize about yourself having moved to the continent that you won't see when you are in the West. The West won't allow you to see. The West doesn't give you time to sit down and relax and think about what it is that you really want to do with your life, what your purpose is in your life. And I think that in life, if you're not moving with your purpose, you're going to be unfulfilled. And sometimes the West is just not going to allow you to do that. Like, your purpose may be in the West, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's understand that. Moving to the continent is not for everybody. And these videos are not to say, you must move to Ghana, you must move to the continent. No, that's not what I'm saying in these videos. These videos are just to enlighten people. So if you just have curiosity, that's all you are, just curious about what it's like to be in the West. That's cool. In Ghana. That's cool. Watch the videos about Ghana. Learn about what the different lifestyles that people are living on the continent, right? But stay in the West, because that's for you. That's your journey. Like, no one can speak into that, right? If you feel like your journey is to sometimes step into the continent, step into Ghana and get a taste for a few months and then go back, that's your journey. That's cool. If your journey is to move to Ghana and live here forever, That's also cool. Like, there is no one way to do life. There is no one way that makes things right or makes things wrong. It's for you to work out what your journey is, right? And that's very much what's happening with people. And you have to be at peace with whatever that journey is going to be for you. Like right now, my journey, I believe that I'm supposed to be in Ghana. This is what's working for me. Can I say in 10 years' time, Ghana is still going to be for me? I can't say that. I don't know, because things unfold over time. So maybe you did come to Ghana for 2 years and you have to leave after 2 years. Maybe that's just the way your journey is supposed to be. And I feel like we shouldn't put chains on ourselves and be like, I must remain here, because if I don't remain here, people are going to judge me and say this and other. It doesn't matter. So what? So what? It's not their journey, it's your journey. If you feel like your journey has come to an end and you need to try something else, you need to try another African country, go for it. But what I want us to do is to learn from each other's journeys, because that's how we're going to fast track some of the things that to improve ourselves, to better ourselves, right? By sharing information, sharing knowledge. Okay, right. I can look at certain people and say, okay, this didn't work out for them. This is the reason why it didn't work. This is what I can learn from it. Okay, so you learn from the good things that happen to people and the bad things that happen to people, and that's how we get better. You know, when I came to Ghana, like, nobody was really doing YouTube and explaining their journeys. Nobody was saying, you know what, electricity is this, water is this. This is this. No one was saying those things. So when I moved to Ghana, it was very much moving blind and having to work it out. So therefore, it was harder for me to be here. My growth was slower because there was nothing for me to be able to look at. You know, even when you start a business, you don't just wake up one morning and say, you know what? I feel like going into some type of finance business today. And you don't just wake up and do it and without having done any research, anything, and just said, today I feel like this. You don't do that. You go, you do the research, you gain as much knowledge as you can into that industry before you step into it. When we come to Ghana, some of us, we come here blind. We don't know what we're doing. I came here blind, like I didn't know. Although, yes, you know, I'd been to Ghana when I was younger. Every other year I was in Ghana, the only holiday destination that I knew, right? It was still walking into Ghana blind. I really didn't know what it was like to live here full time. And I didn't have anything to look at. So it was harder for me. So my growth has been slower. I didn't know what it was like to try and penetrate certain circles. I didn't know what I was doing. And so that's what you saw a lot of on camera, right? But me having done that, I created a path for other people who are now able to say, okay, she did this, that didn't work. I'm going to avoid that. I'm sidestepping. Do you know what I mean? Or she did this, it worked. I'm going to copy exactly what she did. And it fast tracks you, right? So you can even run past me because I've opened up the door for you to be able to see that this is what Ghana is about. These are the challenges that you're going to face. These are the things that are going to work for you. This is what you should do. X, Y, Z, do this. 1, 2, 3, don't do that, you know? And so when you see people like that have been here for a number of years, I'm not talking about people, I'm sorry, this is not disrespect. I'm not talking about people who have come here for 1 year and have created YouTube channels and said, follow me, this is my journey. I'm not saying you shouldn't follow them, watch what they're doing, but take it with a pinch of salt because they are still exploring a journey that they have no idea about. They don't know what the real is like to live here. They haven't opened up certain doors yet. So if you're following them to say, okay, I just want to see how it works for them, that's cool. But don't use those people as a basis for you to move and say, okay, well, she's been there 6 months or he's been there 6 months, 1 year, and it's working for him. That's it. Because people are not showing you everything. People are not being honest. People are not being honest because they're showing you what's amazing and they're not showing you the things that are not amazing. It's hard to turn on a camera and say, I failed. How many people can do that? Because you're talking to thousands, millions maybe of people and saying and admitting to them, I failed. I tried to come to Ghana, this didn't work. Or I tried to start this business and it didn't work. You know how many businesses I wanted to start and it didn't work for me? You know, do you know how many times I've failed? And I don't mind coming on camera to say, okay, I've tried this, it didn't work for me. Like, it's not failure to say something didn't work. it's not a failure in that way. It's an experience that you're taking. You're choosing to share it with other people so that they don't make those mistakes. And you're also learning, because none of us, let me just tell you this, right? None of us in life know what we're doing. None of us have a manual to say, follow these steps and this is what it's going to be for you. This is, if you follow this blueprint, you're going to get it. Even those gurus out there that will say, this is my blueprint, buy this course and it'll teach you everything that you need to know. It ain't going to teach you everything you need to know, because that person hasn't done everything. They've just gone on this path and it's worked for them. That doesn't mean that exact path is going to work for you. There is no guru out there that can tell you 100% of everything so you make no mistakes. They can guide you, but they cannot tell you everything. The same as coming to Ghana. I can guide you on certain things, but I cannot tell you everything. I cannot tell you that, you know what, if you take this path to get to cantonments, right? That's the best path. That's the fastest path for you to get there. That's the way that you should drive. Don't drive and go through this other route. I can't tell you that. But I can tell you that, you know what, it's probably going to take you maybe 15 minutes from airport to get to cantonments. I can give you that, but I can't tell you, turn left here, turn left, that's the best route. I can't do that. It's impossible for me to do that. And so you can watch these YouTubers as they start their journeys here and use it for inspiration for some of the things that you want to do. But really, none of us can give you the blueprint. We can only share with you the experiences that we have coming here. So I don't digress too much, but looking at ES's journey, she's done a lot of amazing, wonderful things. She's tried to create businesses for herself. She's done really well for herself. She's probably done a lot more than a lot of us can say, even if you're in the West. Because being here and trying to financially sustain yourself is not easy. But I would say one of the things that ES has on her side is that, her kids were grown. They were able to, they didn't want to be in Ghana, so they stayed in the States. And so that gave her a bit more freedom of movement to create the life that she wanted for herself. And the life that she wanted for herself was in the village. That's where she felt at peace. Ghana, when it comes to Ghana, Accra is not the only place that you can live. Even for those of us in the West, sometimes we don't want to live in the capital. We don't want to live in some of these cities. We want to live out in the countryside. And living in the village is very much like living in the countryside, right? You have limited access to things, and that's part of the love that some people have. They want to live on a farm where they, make your own, you grow your own food, you raise your animals, you live that quiet lifestyle. Some people are happy to not have internet and just tap into internet once in a while. If that's the lifestyle you want to live, then create that for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much all I'm going to say. I think you should definitely go ahead, support ES, because right now she's having a few financial difficulties. She said in the video, it's not private, so I can say it. She said in the video that, she was having issues with trying to get a visa so that she could leave to wherever that is going to be. She explains it in her video. Check it out. And yeah, sometimes, financially it can get hard here. Ghana is expensive.
And I started really, really feeling it, like, wow. Okay. What do? We move forward. And that's not easy to do when you love in people. So when you move forward, you need money. And I told you guys that I had been having some difficulties. And so I decided to start a business. Anything that I have made throughout this time on social media, I have given every cent to my food and to building the project in Mali, every cent, every peswa. Okay? Happily, a happy sacrifice, because I believed in it. Because anything I touch, I mean it. But that doesn't mean that the maker means it for you. So it's some things that I've come to realize, that my location is not the location for my spirit to grow.
Don't let anyone fool you and say, oh, it's cheap to come and live in Ghana. It's cheap if you want to live like a lot of the local people, if you want to eat a lot of the local foods. And I'm not saying that that's not what ES did. I don't know what ES's situation is. I'm not referring to her. I'm just saying in general, if you want to live that kind of lifestyle where that's what you eat, you only really eat Ghanaian food, you're happy to maybe sometimes, not turn your lights off turn your lights on when you're in your house, not have AC, then yes, you can. There are ways you can live in Ghana for cheap. You can. Ghanaians do it all the time. If you want to live that lifestyle, that's cool. But anything else is going to be expensive. Ghana is expensive. Don't let anybody trick you and tell you that it's not expensive to live here. I would say that Ghana is among the people, we're faced with financial crisis here. Because the cost of living here is sky high in comparison to the wages that you can earn. Housing is expensive. Like, how do you do that? Just getting yourself decent accommodation, how do you do that? One way that people are doing that is to build their own homes, starting small. That's kind of how ES did it. She built a tiny home. She didn't build a mega house. She built a tiny home. That's what she could afford to build, and that's what she wanted. That's what she built. But many of us coming here, we have dreams of, Africa is full of mansions. Which, yeah, we have mansions here, but not everybody lives in one. A lot of people here just live a modest lifestyle, and that's what they're happy with. So you have to cut your coat according to your size. We have to use that saying. And so when you come here, cut your coat according to your size so that you don't price yourself out of the country where you realize that you can't make it in. You have to go back to the West. You have to go back to America because you need some more money. And if that's the journey you want to take, again, there's nothing wrong with that journey. I'm not saying that. But be honest with the kind of journey that you want to have when you're here. If you want to say, okay, well, I'm going to come with 6 months of money to live in Ghana, and then I'm going to go back for 6 months, work and bring my dollars back, then live that journey. Be proud of that journey. There's nothing wrong. No one's saying that there's anything wrong with that journey. Be proud of that journey. If you can't stick it out in Ghana, financially, it doesn't make sense for you to be able to do that and live here for the long term. That's cool. Like, let's stop putting, I was going to say nooses. So let's stop putting chains around ourselves and, trying to live up to something that we cannot live up to, and therefore feeling like we failed when it doesn't work for us in that way. Like, I was saying to my partner the other day, you can literally get up and live anywhere you want to live. I can decide tomorrow that I want to go and live in Bali if I want to. Do you know what I mean? I just have to make sure that my residency or whatever, if that means I have to go for 3 months, come out and go for 3 months, come out and go for 3 months, then maybe that's what I would want to do. We have to stop feeling chained to certain things. And that's not even the country that we live into. Even some of us that may work for our careers. Sometimes we're in a career just because that's the one that brings us money, but it doesn't bring us any happiness. This is not even meant to be an inspirational video like that, but I just want to touch on that because I feel like some of us need that. Choose the life that you want for yourself. If you have to live or create a business that you're going to now have half your income than what, working in this corporate world was for you, now you're going to create this business, you're going to have half the amount of money. Do that if it makes you happy, because in doing what you're passionate about, you'd be surprised at the growth that you can have. You'd be surprised that people have come here, taken that journey where they have lived with half the amount of income, but they've created a business that is so good and has been more prosperous in the end that they've created wealth, serious wealth, because they have listened and followed the journey that they're supposed to be on. Don't limit yourself and be changed because of money. Many people will not leave the West because of the benefits, especially us in the UK. We won't leave because of the benefits that potentially the UK is giving us, but that's a chokehold. And it's like that on purpose because they want you to remain in the system. It's not being in the West, being in the UK is not about bettering yourself. It's about conforming. It's about conforming to what they're telling you that you can have. You can stay here, you can live here, you can have a decent lifestyle, but these are the rules that you have to abide by. And you're not going to go any further than this because this is the cap that we've given you. And many people are happy to stay within that because they don't want to have times of struggle. And if that's you, that's cool. Just admit that that's who you are. That's what you want. That's cool. And I'm not saying it's wrong. That's cool. Just admit it, right? But then there are those of us that we know that being in the West, it's killing our soul. It really is. It's eating us from the inside out. We're not who we're supposed to be. If that's you, then you owe it to yourself to explore what else there is out there that's going to make you happy. And it's not always money that's going to make you happy. Sometimes just the lifestyle change is what is going to make you happy. And it's to you, because your life is your own, to explore what that means for you. Whether that does mean creating more wealth for yourself, or whether that just means I want a different lifestyle. I want to wake up and hear the cockerels. I want to have my own farm. I want to do whatever it is, create the life that you want, because in that's where your happiness comes from. But anyway, I'm going somewhere else, but that's it. So anyway, I'd say head over, check out ES's channel, support her journey. And yeah, I'm excited to see what she is going to have going for her next. I know she did speak about possible channel change. I don't know if she's going to do that or not. But let's support each other. Let's support our journeys. It's not easy. We all know life is hard. Not all of us put our life out on camera, so we don't know what's happening in individual people's lives. But, you know, I would say, having spoken to a lot of people right now, people are going through struggles. People are fighting silent battles that nobody's talking about. And so, you know, where we can support one another, we definitely should do that. That's how we build our community, you know. So head over, subscribe, support, and all of that. That's the end of this video anyway. So if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, if you are enjoying these videos that I am putting out right now, I'd love to hear it. It just gives me a bit more room to say, okay, I'm on the right path. I have also struggled with the type of content that I want to bring to you. I want to bring very real, relatable content. And I know that, you know, some of the recent videos that I've done have brought a lot of back and forth with people. There's been a lot of conversation. It has definitely opened a few wounds for people. I know that there has been some misunderstanding in some things throughout the comment section, if you read it. But, you know, I really want us to talk, and I want us to better ourselves in this community. I want us to grow. I want us to fast track ourselves. I want us to build each other up. And so, yeah, I have a few things in the pipeline for that, which you will see as it begins to unfold. I know I always have things in the pipeline. That's one of the things that Ghana will do for you. You're always going to have things in the pipeline, right? So I have things in the pipeline. You'll see it unfold soon. But as I said, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Nuti Bafa.